Scorpio 11, a drowning man rescued. We take it rather for granted that if a man is drowning, somebody will come to his assistance if they can, whether that's another person or an agency, an institutionally organized agency, is not really the essential point here. The point is that as a species, we help each other out. Generally speaking, at least in my experience, if you see somebody struggling, the normal thing to do is to give them a hand. Obviously, the drowning man is an extreme example where there's a danger of death. And yet we can extend this idea to finding a little old lady who wants to cross the road. Would we help her across? Would we stop the traffic for her and help her across? I think most of us would. Or a child has fallen down and hurt his knee, and you don't know the child, but you lift the child up and you offer words of reassurance. And we're kind as a species. And I think there are people within our understanding who are not kind. And it could be argued that, no, we're not kind as a species. This is a developed quality. This is to do with civilization. I refute that. I feel kindness is inherent within us. I think the default condition of our species is kindness. And the reason why people are not kind is a distortion of that. They've lost it. And they've lost it because of forces against them to which they're responding. So if you just allow everyone a gentle way of being, no pressure, no stress, no danger, people are just going to be kind because there's just no reason not to be. And it's a nice thing to do. It's a very pleasant feeling to be kind. And those people, therefore, who are not kind can be understood to have suffered in the past. Had they not suffered in the past, then they would be kind. If you have that faith that we are a kind species and that kindness is the appropriate behavior, then you can be more compassionate when somebody isn't being kind. To be considerate of another one's feelings is the highest spiritual wisdom, perhaps. This is the golden rule. And it's inherent within us as a species to become expressive of our spirituality. The survival instinct is not stronger than the religious instinct. We yearn to find God as much as we yearn to stay alive. And so this yearning to find God must necessarily express itself in a curiosity to find out how do we find God, whatever that is. I'm not suggesting that we all have the same understanding of what that principle is, but there is a principle of the best, the first, the most loving, whatever it is you'd like to describe as your God. If we want God, then we must have some curiosity about how. And the answer to that question is really to be kind, to be kind-hearted, to be kind enough to consider the other person. If I do this, then how will that impact upon the other person? Oh, well, they will find that very difficult, very inconvenient. If I do this, they won't like that. Okay, I won't do that then. I don't want to impose or intrude or hurt somebody else's feelings, or worse. I don't want to. It's not that I don't have to or I shouldn't. It's not a moral question. I just don't want to do that. And the reason I don't want to do that is because I have access to the feelings in my heart center. And when I do something that impacts badly upon someone else, I don't like the feeling. I really don't. I most assuredly don't like the idea that I've planted a seed in the future for someone to get me back. That's not why I'm kind, but it's an interesting thing to take into account. If you're kind, you will be treated kindly. If you're not, you won't. It is that simple. So even if you can't feel the feelings in your heart, even if you can't agree with me that kindness is the default condition of a mature, clear adult, then at least you can understand the agency through which kindness generates kindness back, and take a gentle approach to someone. And if somebody's being unkind to you, it's because they've had a bad time in the past, and worse than you, probably, else they'd be as kind as you are. So if somebody's unkind to you, it is not appropriate at all to get them back. That's ridiculous. It's just silly, and it's wrong. It's revenge, you know, it's just wrong. The appropriate behavior is muted. You take it up to a point, stop them doing it beyond that point, explain that you're not happy kindly. The tone of your voice is something to consider. If you respond angrily, then you'll generate further anger. If you respond kindly, you'll generate a softening of their position. So the people to be most kind towards are those people that are unkind to you. They're the ones that need it the most. Now, in this image, a drowning man rescued, typically there's a system behind the rescuing force, a lifeboat or a helicopter or something that's created by the community. And the idea of a community taking care of each of the individuals within the community, all for one, one for all. This idea is very profound. It brings us into the understanding that we're not only on earth to take care of our own needs. We can go beyond the idea that we need to take care of our genes through the family and taking care of the family. Love of the family is just an extended form of narcissism in a way. But if we're actually taking care of the tribe, and yes, there's also a genetic aspect to that, but we're starting to move into group consciousness, where that's a training for us to take care of everyone and everything. It's moving away from self-love towards love of life. And that love of life is by no means indistinguishable from love of God. It's the same thing. Love of self can be an expression of the love of God, but often it isn't. It's the fear of lack in the future. So projecting kindness into the world and expecting to be able to serve your community, these are good survival strategies, but that's not why we do it. We do it because that's how we know God.